however much you bench, I would just quantify it as double door fridges. As silly as it sounds, because many people, especially the people that live by themselves, at one point in their lives had to move houses. The Vigorous Steve here. Let's discuss how to deal with the general population when you're large and in charge. You look so much different than everybody else. You're ripped, you're big. You have a lot of separation in all the body parts which are exposed out of your clothes. And the general population is going to give you a lot of attention. Some of that attention is going to be negative. Some of that is going to be positive. It's generally attention that you thought you didn't sign up for. But let's be honest, you kind of sign up for it because you're going to the gym and you're trying to change your physique and you're doing everything you need to do to look different than everybody else. And now that you fall into that 1% of having a good physique, right? Let's be honest, 99% of the people out there don't really have a good physique. So now you fall into that 1%. Hopefully you fall into the 1%. And now the other 99% of the people out there is going to give you some sort of attention. Let's discuss how to deal with that, because the attention might range from anywhere between admiration to jealousy to disgust, disdain, resentment, sexual attention, right? Doesn't matter which sex you are. There's always somebody that finds whatever you have sexual. So all these things you have to think about because, well, maybe not now because now everybody's locked at home. So these are things you can consider for when we're all allowed outside again. When you're interacting with people, at least give them some sort of a good feeling about the interaction. You don't want to be the guy that enforces the stereotype of being that roided up, stupid bodybuilder that is moody and annoying and angry and has emotional outbursts 24/7. You don't want to be that guy that enforces a stereotype. Actually, what you want to do and what you should be, because you are an ambassador of bodybuilding, when you look phenomenal or impressive or anywhere else in the 1% that differentiates from the other 99%, when you fall into that category, you are automatically an ambassador wherever you go. Right? And a lot of people you don't consider this, but when you start to look a little bit different than general population, you're automatically put into a category, and whether you like it or not, you're now an ambassador because you're walking around with this billboard that is bodybuilding. I mean, luckily I took a break from the billboards, right, for about 8.5 months. So I had a little mini vacation. But now that I'm, back on the gain train, it's been 3 weeks and I'm carrying the billboards out all the freaking time. It's not a billboard you can take off. So I'm representing bodybuilders all the time now. And with that comes a lot of responsibility, a lot of power, a lot of responsibility. So now when I interact with people, I make sure that they walk away with a good interaction, a good feeling about the interaction. And I walk away not feeling frustrated. So, right, I try to ease the mood and lighten the tension, depending on how the interaction is initiated. So let's say you go out somewhere, the mall, the grocery store, somewhere public, that's not the gym. You notice that somebody's staring at you, and you can easily observe them because they won't be staring at your face, right? You're a bodybuilder, they're going to be looking at your arms, your chest, your legs, or anywhere else, another part of the body, right? Depending on their preference. Now, you can easily observe them and see what kind of reaction you are instilling in them. So if that's a look of disgust, okay, you won't be able to break the ice. It's better to move on. But if they just look a little bit confused or they're admiring a little bit, as soon as they make eye contact with your chest, you have an opportunity to break the ice with a good old pec dance. Very simple, works every time, unless you're dealing with a Karen, right? To be honest, I haven't been in the Western world for a long time now. So the phenomenon of a Karen or a Me Too movement, that's completely beyond me. But here in Asia, it has worked every time. As soon as there's eye contact with the chest, I do a little pec dance, then you get eye contact directly. And then you just smile and laugh, right? You break the ice that way. You have a good interaction. They got caught, obviously, staring at you. But you didn't make a fuss about it. You just said, yes, I know you were looking. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. Maybe you can even get a phone number after that. Who knows, right? There's a first for everything, and maybe you can be the first bodybuilder to instill a little bit of positive energy in the girl you're interacting with. Another very common situation that you'll find yourself in when you are interacting with people is the question, how big are your arms? And you just play it off and said, I don't know, right? You throw up your arm and you ask them, how big do you think they are, right? Hopefully they won't say 11 inches. That's a bit of an insult. But general population doesn't know how to quantify body parts. They will either say it's big, it's really, really big, it's disgustingly big, although that's a compliment, right? Bodybuilders, sometimes we use swear words anyway to highlight how freaky and hard and nasty and all that stuff we are. So you just throw up your arm, or maybe you throw up two arms, and you just ask them, how big do you think my arms are? Right? They might have a measuring tape and will call you out. So whatever you do, don't throw up a number. They will not be able to quantify it. And again, if you do say 19 or 21 or 23 or 25 inches, you better be 100% sure that they're going to measure that cold. Just an easy way to break the ice. Go back and forth, play that energy tennis to get a little bit of a good interaction. Because let's be honest, most of the people that are going to ask those kinds of questions, how big are your arms, or how much do you bench, or how much do you weigh, those are going to be guys, and some of them are going to grope you, even though they're completely straight. So you definitely can't be a homophobe and take that as some sort of intrusion on your personal space, because that's simply what happens. You can't control other people, and you're actively inviting them to ask these kinds of questions when you look a little bit different than everybody else, simply because they're interested, they have some sort of admiration, they want to know how big your biceps actually are, or how much you bench. Right? It comes with the territory, guys. You can't throw a temper tantrum when that happens. You give in a little bit, not to the point that they start groping you too much. I mean, wear a wedding ring. Well, I'm not wearing it right now, but there's a wall of separation between you and me anyway. And I highly doubt your general population watching these videos for those kinds of subjects. So when you go out, wear a wedding ring, whether you're married or not. It will just show that it's not okay to grope. So you already have a little bit of a way out, because it will happen. It will happen, guys. Comes with the territory. So that's one way to get out of that situation. And otherwise, you just smile, say, thanks so much. But yes, I am married. And but that guy, maybe you can ask his phone number, right? Say it in a nice way, not to an insinuating way. You have to play a little bit with these people that come over to you to interact, because you don't want to get into an altercation either, where you act a little bit stuck up because they ask the questions that are annoying, and because it's going to happen anyway. The questions will be annoying and repetitive, and it's up to you to deal with that as professional and as entertaining as possible. Because the last thing you want is to get into an altercation because somebody showed some admiration and you handled that situation right improperly. And now you have this issue. And guess who's going to lose in that report when there is an altercation? The stereotypical bodybuilder. Right? So you always have to be ahead of the curve. Always make sure that you handle these situations professionally. Because if you're stereotyped as the roided up bodybuilder and you're using steroids, well, in a lot of countries nowadays, that will be held against you. So just make sure that the interaction, however awkward it is, always ends on a positive and light note, so you can both walk away feeling good. Or at least, you can wipe your sweat off, oh, came very, very close, but I handled it professionally and now can go about my business. Another way to interact with people, especially when they ask you how much do you bench, is to quantify the bench in another way, because nobody understands, or most people that are general population don't know how heavy 100 kilos is, or 225, or however much you bench, right? You can see 3 plates, 4 plates, 1 plate, depending on how much you actually bench, 225, 315, right? 100 kilos, 300 kilos, whatever, however much you bench. I would just quantify it as double door fridges. As silly as it sounds, because many people, especially the people that live by themselves, at one point in their lives had to move houses. And one of the heaviest things that they have to move is that fridge. or the laundry machine, right? That has a little bit of a plaque at the bottom to keep the weight down, especially when it's spinning. So you just go with the heaviest appliance you can think about and just say you can bench one double door fridge or two double door fridges. I got this idea from the Discovery Channel many, many years ago when they changed their attitude a little bit from making a very informative nature documentaries and science documentaries to a little bit more entertaining. And they would quantify the size of one object or animal with another object or animal, or an object and an animal, right? To make it a little bit more relatable that way for the general population, easier to follow. So they would say a blue whale is the same size or the same length as 4 school buses, for example. Not exactly sure if that's true, but I remember those documentaries that they would do it in the same way. Or the statue in Paris, right? The Eiffel Tower is the same height as 3 statues of liberties in New York. Also an example. You could do the same way. You just say you bench 2 fridges or you bench 2 laundry machines. General population will have an easier time to understand how much that weighs, especially if they've moved houses. It's the best way to do it. If they ask you how much you squat, you throw up a bigger number, right? You throw up the size of a small car, for example. Again, you have to back that up with a video. So whatever number you throw out, make sure you got your calculations correct in case to call you out on it. It makes it a lot easier to interact with people this way because they don't understand our terminology. They really don't, right? When they ask you if you're on steroids, you just say yes, right? Because steroids are all classified in one aspect, and you don't have to go into depth like I'm using this much testosterone and Trembolone on top, and I'm using an aromatase inhibitor, and I'm right. It's way beyond them. It's way beyond them. So you just try to make it as easy for them to comprehend, because if you do make it a little bit easier for general population to understand what you're doing and how you came to that point of looking different than everybody else, it's also easier for them to like you or respect you or have an admiration for you, which maybe at the beginning of the interaction was not really established yet. And as a person with a little bit of social anxiety that's now slowly getting better over time, I've had to use all these different kinds of tactics whenever somebody would approach me with questions that, well, honestly, I didn't feel like answering, but I still answered and did it with a smile and took the time to make sure that the interaction was good. Now, however long or short that lasted, because again, I represent bodybuilding whenever I'm in shape and I'm a little bit bigger than everybody else. And I actively try to put bodybuilding in a positive spotlight. Even though, right, there's a lot of bad that comes with bodybuilding, mostly related to health and some of the blowouts between individuals, right? When the discussions gets heated and everybody's on androgens and they are so convinced of their own right that they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel or cannot possibly understand why somebody else would be doing a particular practice, right? There's a lot of androgens in the sport, but between you and general population, all the androgens are on your side. All of them. General population, at best, they're on hormone replacement. And then you already have something in common, right? You're both pinning testosterone or a steroid. You have a little bit of mutual ground. And probably that person is just going to ask you questions which might lead into a service, especially if you know what you're doing. You say, hey, listen, I understand you have questions, but, here's my cards. Maybe you want to schedule a consultation instead, and I'll give you 100% attention and optimize your HRT to the point your cookie cutter clinic won't be able to. And I'll close off this video with an interaction that's always enjoyable, always interesting, and usually ends off on a positive note. And those are the interactions that you'll have with kids. Because let's be honest, kids are still pure. They're not lying like the adults. They're not disgusted about you as the adults might be. They're not as messed up as the adults get later on in life. It comes with adulthood, I guess. The kids are still pure, and they only have 2 separate emotions when it comes to interacting with you. That's either admiration or being scared, right? Because you're so big, you might look a little bit scary, especially if you have that, a perpetual resting bitch face going on when you go outside. which you should also change, raising your eyebrows a little bit and putting on a little bit of a smile 24/7, as annoying as it is. It goes a long way, guys. Really, you don't have to be mopey all the time. It's really, there's no need for that kind of behavior. Kids, they either like what they see because they watch the cartoons, right? And they're exposed to superheroes that are a lot more muscular, whether that's through the Avengers or DC Comics or whatever cartoon is on TV nowadays. They're exposed to that from an early age. And in the majority of the cases, they're just admiring, but they're also scared at the same time because you look so much different than dad, if dad is in the picture, right? Or you look so much different. Well, hopefully you look a lot different than mom. So you'll have to break the ice with the kids also, whether they're admiring and super interested in you or not, because that will make you feel good about yourself, because that's probably the purest interaction you will have with people until these kids grow up and turn into teenagers and then peer pressure gets a hold of them and the bodybuilders are disgusting and all on steroids. And then when they get a little bit older, they're so jaded that it's very difficult to have a pure interaction with another bodybuilder as well. Talking from experience. So before the kids go down that road, which in many cases is inevitable, you can instill a good interaction with them so they don't end up jaded regarding bodybuilders or people with a good physique later on in life. Make yourself small, you crunch down, and well, you have to find a little bit of a balance between how the kids are reacting to get them out of their shell a little bit so they walk away with a good experience. And this also breaks the ice for the parents, right? If you're good at this, if you're good at interacting with people, you'll break the ice for the parents as well. And then it will also be easier for them to respect you as a person, as a bodybuilder, because you opened up to them through their kids, right? You have a good interaction, you play a little bit, whatever, right? So many different situations you can find yourself in. So it's up to you to make the most out of that situation. And the whole family walks away with a good feeling about that interaction, right? Please don't enforce the stereotypes because you're making it a lot more difficult for me and for everybody else that's generally positive, generally has a good interaction with people. Because again, we all get plastered into this little box. And the more you enforce this little box, the more difficult it is for other people to get out of the little box. Even though, well, let's be honest, we all feel comfortable in the little box, right? Bodybuilding is very cliquey. We all open up 100% amongst each other. But to the general population, it's already a little bit difficult to make them understand on why we diet, why we take performance-enhancing drugs if we take performance-enhancing drugs, why we spend so much time in the gym, why we pose in our underwear and make all kinds of noises, like the yeah, shh, right? It's silly. It's completely silly to the general population. So this is something you have to keep in mind. It's up to you to not enforce a stereotype and make sure that all the interactions that you have with normal people ends in a positive note. And then maybe a few decades from now, right? We don't have to walk outside with those screams behind our backs. Steroids, right? Maybe we can, for the next generation that is going to be our kids, we're looked at a little bit more positive light, right? We can lay the foundation right now. Hope this helps. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're looking for the most comprehensive guides to bodybuilding pharmacology, you can find the ebooks on my website, vigoroussteve.com/shop. Personalized advice always available through consultations. You can find the rates in the consultations section. Follow me on Instagram at VigorSteve. Front double bicep for the Vigorous crew, making a comeback just for you. Thanks for your likes and your comments and the shares and hitting the notification bell button so you get notified whenever a new video drops. Trying to keep up with the daily upload schedule. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.